everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Kissler OBrien podcast here as we start bringing in guests from inside the Kistler OBrien family. I'm Tyler Trumbauer, getting set to host another episode as we look inward here after a very successful week of podcasts to celebrate National Fire Prevention Week at the start of October. And now as our calendars shift to November, we start talking to some key longtime members of the KOB family, longtime individuals in the fire and life safety industry. And today we are honored to be joined by one of them who's been here for nearly 2 decades now, Tom Fantasia of our sales department. Tom, thank you for joining me and giving us a few minutes today.
You're welcome, Tyler.
So you've, as I mentioned, 19 years, getting even closer to the 20. I know you may or may not like hearing that, or maybe those years have flown by. But working in life safety for this long and with Kistler OBrien, what has been your biggest takeaway from being in your role in this field?
You know, the biggest thing I think would be what comes to mind is the safety of property. We work in situations where there are equipment and machinery and not always occupied spaces. So, we don't want to downplay life safety, but we focus in my division on saving, protecting and saving equipment and precious downtime, business continuity.
Certainly downtime, not an option for a lot of our customers that we have here at Kistler OBrien. You talk about your department and the systems and the property that you protect. If you could explain a little bit more of, what you do at Kistler OBrien in your current role and what types of businesses do you focus on the most with the systems that you work with?
I specialize with what we consider to be an industry-wide acceptable terminology is clean agent fire protection systems. Chemical agents which are safe for occupied areas but have the ability to extinguish a fire. Also specialized detection systems, early warning, etc. And the types of industries that we work in could be data centers, clean rooms, cable carriers, electrical switchgear, situations where water applied to their equipment would create destruction and critical downtime.
And also that you can't have any downtime at all, really. Like you said, those are important and crucial things that you're protecting,
right,
where these systems are so complex and so important that they need to deploy at the right time. They need to provide that protection because those are some businesses that need to have continuity 24/7.
Absolutely. And, we, obviously in the computer industry, there's backup and backup to backup. And there are some safety features built into those types of systems. However, we talk about electrical switchgear and cable carriers and things. Downtime is money. So, for example, if you lose your cable, not necessarily devastating to the degree where you can't replace the equipment, but we talk about, billable hours and how long people are down for, and then there's revenue associated with that. So we protect that as well.
Certainly. We mentioned nearly 2 decades, 19 years of service here with Kistler OBrien. I'm sure you've had a lot of experiences, a lot of customers, a lot of people you've met in the industry over the years. What moment, if any, sticks out to you, maybe one with a customer, that serves as that motivating factor to you 19 years later?
19 years later. Well, I did have a customer who actually we sold them a CO2 fire suppression system for a very large printing press. And they had a fire. And they shared that with us, and we saw some footage. And honestly, the watching that footage to this day really resonates with me, that how well the system worked, but how well the people that worked in the area were trained and were able to execute and evacuate the area. And I'll never forget that. It was quite impressive.
Certainly. And currently you are a system sales representative. We talked a little bit about the clean agents and the different systems that you work with. Now, that's not normally something when people think about fire safety, they immediately go to. Their mind would go to more fire extinguishers, smoke alarms. But these systems that you talk about, that you work with on a daily basis, how important are those to fire and life safety as well? We talked about it a little bit with the equipment and the data that they're protecting, but how do they fit into the larger puzzle piece where people normally think extinguishers, emergency signs, smoke alarms, but those clean agents and those other suppression systems are just as critical.
Right. And what my area, what my group, our division, I focus on is this automatic system. So like a fire alarm system, I also have detection, but then I'm the first line of defense where we actually do something. Our systems react, they discharge, they extinguish a fire, all the while sending out signals, to the building, to central monitoring. And in today's industry, most of our control panels have a feature where email alerts are sent. So we are a detection and your first line of defense, as opposed to some of the other systems that are passive and just give you a warning and possibly have to wait for first responders or someone to investigate exactly what is going on.
I'm glad you brought up the automation of your systems and the email notifications. Something that we discussed on an earlier podcast during Fire Prevention Week is how technology has really transformed the fire and life safety industry, and how some of these systems can be detected, diagnosed, fixed remotely, just looking at it from a computer dashboard, and potentially could even really be troubleshooted and completely fixed remotely. And, in 2020, the word is remote and virtual. Those are your key buzzwords this year. So in your experience over these 19 years, how have you seen technology advance in the fire and life safety industry, and seeing where it could potentially take these systems to better protect the people's, industry, their business, their property, their information?
Well, we could start with detection. Over the past 20 years, detection has improved. The reliability of a smoke detector and its ability to detect smoke instead of going to a false alarm situation, creating a discharge. So they have made advancements. There have been advancements in early warning smoke detection, and also advancements in different types of detection, specifically for battery type applications, energy storage units. I didn't work on energy storage units 20 years ago, and now I work on them frequently. And there are specialized detection systems that are applicable for those types of systems as well.
Certainly, and I just think that's such a fascinating thing that, it's such an immediate thing, and the troubleshooting and everything, it's not something you can put off. It's what we tell business owners all the time. And to be able to maybe troubleshoot or work and diagnose some things from afar could really transform the industry and maybe protect even more lives. And I just think that's an intriguing topic that it would be interesting to follow over the next coming years.
It absolutely is. And in certain customers share their key with us, and, we can monitor their systems remotely. So, for example, if an intelligent addressable control panel comes up with a trouble condition, it actually shows up on the control panel, sends an alert to the business owner. And in some cases, we can also either receive that alert or have access to it to investigate it. And like you said before, mitigate a situation possibly remotely.
Certainly. And so we just mentioned 2020, a year that's almost in the rearview mirror, not quick enough for most folks. This year has been probably more challenging than any for most business owners out there today. What would you say to them about keeping life safety at the forefront of their priorities, of their mind, even though they got a million things to worry about? What would you say to them to not put fire and life safety, their maintenance, their inspections on the back burner?
Well, obviously, in the business of life safety, you want to protect people. And that, in these times, where, funding is allocated in possibly different areas, not to lose sight that, a properly maintained fire suppression system in a critical area is very important, and you just need to be reminded of that. And, people that have systems in place for years kind of expect that, it's going to operate when called upon. But I think it's important that they realize that they need to be maintained and tested. It's a semi-annual inspection, and when called upon, then they will react to a situation as designed.
Certainly. Last question for you, Tom, and I think you may have one of the better perspectives on this. We talked about the changes in the industry overall, specifically advancements with technology and fire and life safety. But with 2 decades now with Kistler OBrien, a historic, local, community-oriented business here in the greater Lehigh Valley area, how have you seen this company grow and change and evolve right along with the industry?
Well, obviously, I've seen change in our footprint. We serve the tri-state area. I've seen changes in the technology, and at Kistler OBrien, we not only train our designers for the new technology, but that trickles down through our service department. So we stay on top of the latest as far as, the clean agent chemicals, the advancements in detection systems. I think we do a really good job of that, and it's a competitive advantage that, we are well trained in the latest technology, and, we can be part of a solution and get a customer exposed to the cutting edge equipment.
Absolutely. We got the techs, the designers to get it there, but the first person they're going to talk to, Tom Fantasia. And that's exactly the person that I would love to talk to every morning. And I love talking to you today, Tom.
Well, thank you. I
appreciate the few minutes today, Tom. And we really appreciate your insight and learning a little bit more about you.
Thank you.
So that'll do it, folks, for our episode of this KOB podcast, talking internally with a few of our employees. And first up, a 19-year veteran here with KOB, Tom Fantasia. If you got any questions for him about your business, fire and life safety, contact him, email, phone, and on LinkedIn as well. Until next time, I'm Tyler Trumbauer. We'll talk to you then.